All right, so I took a quick break. So the last matchup I'm going to talk about today is Chip, and the Ram matchup is there. This is not going to be a how to fight mid-high level Chip players, mostly because like that would have to require me going over all the different options of like run FD stop, bring down with this in weird ways, all of that sort of stuff. Ensnare dash drop versus not ensnare dash drop versus all those weird movement tech stuff that Chip can do. And Chip there's just too much to cover. So this is going to be how to beat like the Chips who are just they're not bad fighting game players, but they just kind of that kind of thing. This kind of thing. Real basic stuff. Now, the first stuff is you have to understand how each of his special moves work. So first he's got this Alpha Blade. Oh no, I got hit. It's unblockable. Well, it's actually a cross-up. And it's a cross-up that you can throw if you get the timing right. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but you can throw it too. I'm mentioning that because everyone's going to say that you can throw it. I would not advise you throwing it. I would just block it. Yes, technically it is a punish, but there's enough variation of the timing, and it's a small enough window that, like against all the speed that Chip can do, you're going to be kind of over-practicing to be able to deal with it. That you'll get a lot more mileage out of practicing other things for the matchup than that. Because a lot of good Chip players are not going to do this. Plain and simple. You're practicing for bad players, and that's not really what you do. This is not, this right here is not the end-all be-all. It's a cross-up. It's moderately okay on block. It's all that sort of stuff. So the next one is his command grab. Now, his command grab is hittable. It is air throwable. But in general, you can actually jump out. You can kind of fuzzy jump out of a lot of Chip's options. Like if I go back to this one, you can jump out of it. If I do this one, oh, no, that's not the right one. But if you do this one, you can also jump out of it. And it is not, it's something that is actually a pretty good option against a lot of Chip's gimmicks, is actually just backing and then blocking the direction of the thing. So, with this move right here, you can jump out of it. That's not a punish. He can anti-air that. But if you are ready for it, you can air throw it. It's kind of a jank timing, to be honest. But you can do it. You also can anti-air it. You can just hit him. You can do all of that sort of stuff. Don't press slow buttons like HS. You're going to get grabbed. But, you can hit him. It's not impossible, but I would recommend just jumping out. Getting out's good enough. Now, for this move... oh, that didn't switch the... nope. Did not switch. So this move is not a projectile. This move is hittable. And I'm pretty sure that it is, in fact, always hittable. Like, I don't think there's anything that true strings into this. I might be wrong, but... I'm pretty sure you can always squeeze in a jab there. I'm not going to test with Chip, because it might be that Chip can jab out and other characters can't. But this move is hittable, and it's not a projectile. It's good on block, like, don't get me wrong, it is a good move. But it is hittable, and it's important that you recognize that, because if you watch Chip's life bar, he is, in fact, getting hit. And you actually can hit both of them and do a lot of damage. Like... You're hitting two Chips at once with an H move. Like, you're killing him. That's 200 damage pretty easily. That's nowhere near optimal. Now, stuff to know about this move and this move. Oh, not that move, that's bad. This move right here, it is a cross-up. Again, you can jump out, but you do have to block it a cross-up regardless of jumping out of it. And it's reasonably safe. Like, if Chip does this, he can jump around. He can jump afterwards. He can fall with a button and all that stuff. Be ready to anti-air him if you just block it. But it's, he's got some tricks. He can delay. He can dash. he can do all that stuff. He can like backdash. He can do all sorts of things. So he can run up, slash, this move, backdash following that. And it's kind of a lot to react to. And the timings are all different. So in general, you can up back and then run out of it. Like if you hear, you up back and then you just backdash out, and he can't chase you without hard reading it. There are lots of little tricks to get out of that sort of stuff, and it goes a really long way. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about, and I have to re-record it apparently, is his Rekka. Now, all of his Rekkas, and I'm not 100% sure about this, are minus on block, and the third one is very punishable. It's I don't know how punishable it is. It's like 15 or something. It's minus a lot, and it's pretty easy to react to it. You can air throw it if you like want to option select jump back and all that sort of stuff, because like he doesn't get anything after his second Rekka, so you can just jump back. He can do Rekka 1 straight into it, like he can do that. So just be ready for it. It's not a very fast overhead, and you can punish it, but there's just so much to like. None of Chipp's options are that hard to deal with specifically, but he's got so many different things that he can do at any given time that your mental stack is just overloaded. And there's so many different angles that he can approach from. He can fall fast, he can fall slowly, he can stagger and stop, he can come down with all these sort of stuff. And then the last thing I want to talk about is this move. This move is you can 6P it technically, but there's so many variations in the timings that it comes down that like I would not try to 6P it. What I do is I dash under it most of the time. I just move. I either backdash or I dash around. I just am moving to make this not a guaranteed thing, because if you watch like Goichi play, not necessarily in the set because that's like 150 ms, but like if you watch this sort of stuff, you'll see chick players just kind of bullying people with this move. They'll like do that sort of stuff. They'll be like, "Hey, yo, look at this." They'll be like, "Yeah," and then they'll also do, and then they'll just mix in all these different air approaches, and they're all anti-air to different timings, and it's just too much to handle. And so generally, the more active your movement is, the harder it is for Chipp to like. He has to predict and like follow correctly how to follow it down, because if you're sitting still, Chipp will run all over you. Now, similar to Milia, this character is too fast to react to. Like that safely counts as not reactable. That's some very like if you're really really ready, really looking for it. Yes, you can, but like, man, that's tough. It's something that like him just running at you versus instant air dash versus run FD stop versus fall down. All of that sort of stuff, like. It's just, you're going to react with like 6P, and then your 6P hangs out there, and then Chipp whiff punishes you. In general, similar to Milia, you're better off having things for Chipp to run into. Having your jump Ks, your jump Ps, your Ps, your kicks. Just having stuff for Chipp to run into is good, because he takes a lot of damage. The risk reward of predicting is heavily skewed against Chipp, because he just takes so much damage. Now, his mix-up is gross, and like he doesn't do low damage by any means. But the risk-reward of him getting a whiff punish with like this versus running into that move is skewed against him, because his health is so low. So predictive stuff, like just having a big button for him to run into sometimes, goes a very long ways. Now, good Chipp players know this, and will be able to move around, be ready, be looking for whiff punish. They'll do a lot more like jump back. They'll do a lot more like jump, FD stop, and then fall. They'll do a lot more just like run at you, jump back, air dash, jump back, FD. They'll do a lot more just stuff that beats just preemptive buttons. But a lot of mid and low level Chipp players are just going to run into stuff. And they're just going to not be able to control their own speed that well. Like, you're seeing that I'm having trouble moving with this character. I haven't practiced anything. Like, this is not super... I've never really studied this character in this game that heavily. But it's hard, right? It's hard to run FD stop and then come down at weird angles. Like, it's not easy to do that on a dot for all the different options. And so lots of newer Chipp players are just going to run into stuff. and just die. Or they're going to rely on gimmicks. They're going to like rely on this move and this move and this move to cover their own weaknesses. Whereas like the true chip players are just, it's all about movement. It's all about coming in at weird angles. It's all about delay jumping, and then like you can do like there, down, or there, down, or up, down. And those all timings are all anti-air differently, and it's really hard to react. And you can't see your character. Like, look, he's off screen for like 1, 2, 3. He's off screen, so like you don't even know exactly where you are. And it's a nightmare. This character is so good if they play well, but there is a lot of different options that generally just having a big button for under run into is generally good. If you're ever it's a predictive thing. Like, how are they approaching? Are they approaching on the ground? Are they approaching in the air? Are they approaching the air from the high? Are they approaching the air from the low? What that sort of stuff. Like, that's what you're predicting for, and you are looking for that kind of thing. You're looking for like that kind of approach pattern, and generally, like high approaches do your biggest anti-air, low approaches 6p, round approaches far slash. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of general how do you deal with Chip is you just kind of like predict his movement. And like lots of Chip players will abuse time and they'll kind of run away and run in pretty sparingly. Like kind of the better the Chip player they are, the more patient they are. But it is, it's tough. This character's hard to fight. And I'm nowhere near competent enough to like say more about the matchup than I have. So I'm gonna stop it here. Obviously, it's nothing is you do just this. Like, it's not just do this and you win. The character's a little bit too good for that. All right, that's about it. I hope this helps some people. Bye for now.